I had a lot of fun with my musicians video, so I'm gonna continue that same kind of trend, but this time with the athletes of Total Drama, specifically those that actually play sports. So to preface, there's plenty of characters such as Joe, Priya, Nichelle, etc. who are really athletic, but they don't actually play any sports, so they aren't going to be included in this video. So let's just jump in because there's a lot to cover. Starting with some minor characters, there are the sumo wrestlers who appeared in Phobia Factor, as that was Heather's biggest fear. Didn't seem like this guy was really that good, but they are professional, so. There's the intern in the Celebrity Manhunt special who's chasing after Ezekiel. He's multitasking, filming Ezekiel and riding his skateboard, showing that he must be a really good skateboarder. She only appears in one episode, but Chef Hatchet's grandmother, Axe Hatchet, was a professional baseball player. She's actually like the greatest of all time, according to Ripper, and she showcased her skills in the first episode of the reboot's second season. She clearly could still go, as she was absolutely lethal with her balloon throwing. He's never shown on screen, but Alejandra mentions that he has a brother named Carlos who's a professional soccer player. Alejandra was also really good with kicking the ball in African Line Safari, so he's definitely picked up a lot of skills from his brother Carlos. Speaking of soccer though, Duncan is a little bit puzzling on this one. In this same episode, Duncan, who was shown to be pretty decent, mocks the sport of soccer and thinks of it as wimpy. But in the Sandwich Project in Total Drama Action, Duncan is seen playing with the soccer ball with Justin, and this is Duncan's own soccer ball that he brought with him, so there's a little contradiction there on whether Duncan actually likes and plays soccer, or whether he thinks less of it. But maybe that just happened over time, I don't know. In Bjork and Telephone and Redonkulous Race, Dwayne mentions how he used to play curling when he tells Junior how easily he can handle moving on ice. He of course doesn't end up being that smooth, but curling is a pretty cool sport for someone like Dwayne to have played back in the day. I mentioned Heather briefly before, and she's being brought up again because of her own talent. In the talent show in season 1, Heather impressed the Screaming Gophers with her ballet, and she was going to be one of the final participants in the talent show. Now, this may be controversial because ballet might be seen as more of an art form as it's dancing, but honestly, I'm going to count it here anyways because it's at least a specific physical activity she engages in and is good at. I also mentioned skateboarding earlier, and that also ties into this same talent show. Jeff was going to be one of the Killer Bass's participants due to his skateboarding ability. He seemed to be pretty good at it too, but then he completely wrecked his skateboard in half somehow while performing a move. So he may not be as good as he or everyone else thought, but what Jeff was actually good at was football. In his Total Drama Island biography, it stated that he's the star quarterback for his high school football team, which is actually a pretty big deal. Similarly, DJ's biography also mentions that he plays football. There's a little tidbit in there that mentions his football coach wanting him to display more aggression on the field, so DJ might have been decent, but not great at the sport. Also in this same talent show, DJ performs his own ribbon dance. Again, I'm gonna count that here. Now, the performance itself didn't go that well, but his practice showed that he had real skills at it, so I'm just going to chalk that up to stage fright and pretend that DJ is an excellent ribbon dancer. Another character who does ballet is Svetlana, one of Mike's alternate personalities. In Mike's audition tape, there's a framed painting of a ballerina with 2 gold medals on it, signifying how good Svetlana is. But she doesn't just do ballet, as she's in general just a great Russian Olympic gymnast. That's showcased pretty much throughout all of the times that Mike switches to her. Speaking of gymnastics though, there's quite a few characters that also participate in this besides just Svetlana. Sky is an inspiring Olympian who looks up to her sister, who was almost on Canada's rhythmic gymnastics Olympic team. It only makes sense as seen from Sky's ability throughout the whole season that she's also going to pursue rhythmic gymnastics, or, well, something similar. Someone else with skills in rhythmic gymnastics is Chet from Redonkulous Race. In the gymnastics challenge in Romania, Chet amazes both Jeff and Lorenzo with his abilities. Lorenzo reveals that Chet takes rhythmic gymnastics lessons, and clearly the lessons have paid off because he showed to be very good at it in this challenge. Lindsay is also someone who has excelled in gymnastics. In her Total Drama Island biography, it's stated that she's the MVP of her high school gymnastics team, which obviously means that she's really good at that. There's also a moment in the Sandwich Project where Lindsay mentions being a cheerleader and being on the cheer team. Now, there's also some debate on whether or not cheerleading is a sport, but again, I'm gonna count it here. And I'm definitely counting it with regards to the twins, Amy and Sammy. They were actually originally labeled as the cheerleader twins, but I mean, it's extremely obvious that they're cheerleaders just from their outfits. Jacques and Jose are another pair of athletes, but on a much higher scale. They are both Olympic-level figure skaters who have been chasing gold all of their lives. The two of them have always been winners, but it was actually at the Olympics where they actually came up short and finished in second. Getting a silver medal is still really good, especially at the Olympics, but not to them as they only won in gold. But despite a big mistake on the big stages, they are still great figure skaters. And while we're still on pairs of athletes, another one from Redonkulous Race is the pair of tennis rivals, Pete and Jerry. They're a lot older now, but like Dwayne, they also used to play a sport, that being tennis of course. The two of them were actually huge rivals back in like the 60s and 70s, but judging from the things they had to say about their various sponsorships, TV deals, and the large money they made, I'd have to assume that they were really, really good. Maybe these guys are the GOATs in the Total Drama universe, who knows? And one more sporting duo is Wayne and Raj. I mean, this pretty much goes without saying that the two of them are hockey players. All they talk about is hockey, all they think about is hockey, and all they want to do is play hockey. And they seem to be really good at it too, which makes sense since they kinda suck at everything else. Speaking of which, this brings me to Tyler. Now, I wasn't sure if I was actually going to include Tyler in this video. Now yes, he is an athlete, or at least an aspiring one who just really loves sports. But like, he sucks. He sucks at every sport or athletic thing he tries, as evidenced from his audition tape and just about every episode of Total Drama he competes on. So I contemplated his inclusion here, but there's a very small tidbit of info that made me decide to do so. When Lindsay is eliminated from World Tour, she says that she hopes nobody from Tyler's hockey team watched his embarrassing catwalk. So Tyler does actually play sport, and since he's on a team, that has to mean he doesn't suck at it. I mean, I hope so at least for his sake. Eva is an interesting one. In her audition tape, she shows her impressive strength with 60 pull-ups. And then of course, she shows off her strength in many other different ways through her appearances on the first 3 seasons of the show. Now, there's no specific sport there, but in Eva's biography, there's actually a lot of information about her sporting background. It states that she's been kickboxing since she was 3, and then at the age of 5 she held a world record. That's not all though, as she also became a stunt performer for several movies. And if that wasn't enough, it also mentions that she's the star player of her school's field hockey team. I really wish we could have seen some of this stuff on the show, but it's really cool that there's this much detail about where Eva has gained a lot of her athleticism and strength. In an exclusive clip, Dakota, Zoid, and Sam are shown backstage at a wrestling event. So it seems like with Dakota's mutation, she put her new size to use by becoming a professional wrestler. I mean, she's probably looking like Giant Gonzalez out there, but still, wrestler nonetheless. Bowie is another character who plays a lot of different sports. In his little introductory video in the reboot's premiere, he's shown playing basketball. There's not a lot there, but in the season's finale, Bowie mentions that he's won many trophies in not just basketball, but also wrestling and track and field. Again, Bowie can just really do it all as he's excelled in 3 different sports. There's really not much to say about this one, but Bridget is a surfer. I mean, she's always carrying around her surfboard, and there's actually not that many times we see her surfing, but the times that we do see her surfing are all in World Tour. But in the Redonkulous Race premiere, Jeff also mentions that Bridget's in Australia for a surfing competition, so she is actually good and competitive at it, even if we haven't seen it that much. In Dodgeball, when Harold shocks everyone with his skills in the challenge, he reveals that this all came from figure skating. So Harold is another person who does figure skating. Harold really is just one of, if not the most talented character in Total Drama, is what I'm realizing after this video and the musicians one. To finish off this video, there's Lightning. Lightning's audition tape shows him on a football field, which signifies that he does play football. I'd assume he's actually good since he brags about carrying the whole team, and he's clearly athletic, but he also mentions throughout Revenge of the Island a few times that he has dreams of winning football championships. There's also Eat, Puke, and Be Wary, where Lightning is shown playing basketball. He's super focused on shooting hoops and ignores everything the rest of the contestants are telling him, but it shows that Lightning is a focused athlete who is also good at basketball, not just football. And then there's Lightning's father. He's clearly an accomplished athlete with all the microphones and lights surrounding him in his video to Lightning, and he also has 4 championship rings, likely from football also. He then bets his rings on Lightning winning the season, which is absolutely insane, but he states that he's nothing without those rings. It's clear the apple didn't fall far from the tree, but Lightning's dad is another very successful athlete that wants his son to be the same way. And there you have it. That's all the athletes in Total Drama that play a sport of some kind. It's really interesting how many play something and how a lot of these things we don't even get to see on the show, as they're just something mentioned on the show or inside a biography. Either way, like with the characters who are talented musically, these are the characters who are talented athletically. Let me know down below what you thought of all this trivia, and also let me know what else you'd like to see me talk about on this channel. Like the video, subscribe for more videos, and yeah, thank you for watching.